Happy Monday, friends, and happy post 4th of July. I hope that you had a great 4th of July. I am personally just happy that there won't be fireworks happening all day long anymore. Today, I want to talk to you about the MVP movement, being more vegetables, please. And why? Well, first, I am just a person who loves vegetables, always have. I prefer vegetables to fruit, and it is rare that I eat any meal, even some desserts, without at least a carrot or some form of vegetable mixed into it. I just truly enjoy the flavor, I enjoy the texture, I enjoy the color. And today we're talking about vegetables because I heard about a study on Rhonda Patrick's podcast with Steve Orvin, and he's a scientist that is seeking out studies on nutrition and health, and he had talked about a study where they measured menopausal women's blood and skin samples, being blood draws or skin draws, and they measured the level of carotenoids and were able to tie that to a correlation with their epigenetic age. And what they found was that the higher the carotenoids, the lower the epigenetic age. And in order for you to understand that, let's define a couple terms. So first, carotenoids. These are the vibrant pigments found in many fruits and vegetables. They are fat soluble, not water soluble. There are over 600 naturally occurring carotenoids, which are broadly divided into two major categories, carotenes and xanthophylls. And just to give you a little bit more of an idea of what carotenoids are, here are some of the examples because they're broken down by colors. So obviously a carrot is orange. Carotenoids are divided into two categories, those carotenes and xanthophylls. The carotenes are the carotenoids that do not contain an oxygen atom, and we'll come back to why that's important. They generally provide deep orange and red hues. So there's beta carotene, alpha carotene, and lysophene. Those are the main three carotenes. These are most well known as provitamin A. They convert vitamin A into something else, whatever it be, because if you have an overdose of vitamin A, that can create some issues. And so high sun exposure usually will cause some of that issues. So carotenoids sort of help combat those downside effects of too much vitamin A because they absorb the vitamin A. So beta carotene is found in carrots, sweet potatoes, and spinach. Alpha carotene is found in pumpkins, carrots, and winter squash. And lycopene is found in tomatoes, watermelons, and pink grapefruits. So you can see all the colors. Carotenes are mostly found in orange and red and yellow foods, but also interestingly like green foods like spinach and kale. The chlorophyll just kind of masks the carotene color. So then the xanthophylls, the other category of the carotenoids, these are carotenoids that do have an oxygen cell, and they are typically yellowish in color. They are highly concentrated in your eyes and your skin. So lutein, concentrated in the retina. This helps filter blue light in your eyes, and it is found in kale, spinach, and egg yolks. So there's few non-vegetable sources of carotenoids, and egg yolks is one of those. Again, yellow color. Zeaxanthin, along with lutein, is essential for eye health. It's found in corn, orange peppers, and oranges. Beta cryptoxanthin, found in papayas, oranges, and peaches. And astaxanthin is a red pigment, and it is a very antioxidant carotenoid, and it is naturally found in algae, salmon, trout, and shrimp. So that's more of the fish source. So that's what carotenoids are. They are the pigments in fruits and vegetables mainly, also eggs and salmon and some other sources. And what carotenoids start to do is they can find a correlation, a negative correlation, meaning that it reduces your epigenetic age. What is your epigenetic age? So epigenetics are the study of how your behaviors and your environment affect the way your genes work. They affect your DNA without actually like rewiring your DNA. And there's many different measurements of epigenetic age. Two of the main ones, and the ones that they used in this study, were phenotype age and Grimm age. Phenotype age is a measure of blood markers like glucose, creatinine, iron levels, sort of those protein enzymes. They do your red and blood and white blood cell counts. Basically, it looks at your blood draw and it can calculate the wear and tear on your body systems. So physically and chronologically, you could be 40 years old, and if your systems are breaking down faster because you were a smoker or because of some other genetic condition, you may actually be 50 on your phenotypical age. So you'd be older. The goal is to be younger than your chronological age. Grimm age is similar. It basically assigns an expiration date. It's named after like the Grim Reaper, and so it's basically going to measure your time until death. And so the factors that go into measuring your Grimm age are similar. They both look at DNA methylation. And what is DNA methylation? You gotta stay with me. I promise this will make more sense, but I wanted to define these terms so that you can sort of grasp what I'm saying, even though you guys probably don't care as much as I do. But DNA methylation is a chemical on-off switch for your genes. So again, it's not rewiring your genes, it's not altering your genes, but as we live and we provide stimulus to our bodies and to our systems, your DNA code is altered. This is where like cancer comes from, altered DNA cells. And so you can think of DNA methylation as like a cookbook. It's not rewriting the recipes, it just is like bookmarking certain pages on your DNA. So your DNA is this cookbook, and methylation is not doing anything to the recipes, but it's picking out certain ones to tag in a specific way. And it does that by either adding tags to a cell and blocking the cell from reading the gene, or removing tags and allowing the cell to read the gene. In the big scheme of things, what DNA methylation does is it tells which cell to be what. So it tells a heart cell to become a heart cell, and a skin cell to become a skin cell. And your diet, your stress, and aging change where these tags are placed, hence changing your epigenetic or your behavior age. So now that you kind of understand what epigenetic age is, DNA methylation, and carotenoids, this is what the study found. So they were measuring menopausal women, which it doesn't really matter that they're menopausal women. This would have been the same in anybody, but that's what they looked at because this study was run by the Women's Health Institute. And they determined that when they tested these women's blood levels, vegetables, or really carotenoids, which come from if they ate vegetables, because again, people can lie about what they're eating, but their blood does not lie. And the beauty of the carotenoids is that because, think of the benefits, this is why they say like carrots are good for your eyes. The benefit of carotenoids is that it benefits your skin and your eye health by rebuilding some cells, and so you can literally see the carotenoid level in your blood and in your skin. So they didn't need these women's opinion of what they were eating, they could measure it. That's why the carotenoids come in handy. And so the people who had the highest amount of carotenoids, or perceived they ate the most vegetables, they had a -3 correlation with Grimm age and biological age, meaning that their age based on behavior was lower than their chronological age. So they were 40-year-old women who were appearing to be 33 because of the carotenoid, or really the vegetable level, in their skin and in their blood draw. And just some comparison, so the vegetables had a -3 correlation. Smoking had a 0.45 increase, so if they smoked, they obviously appeared older. And exercise only had a 0.1 decrease. So compared to exercise, vegetables promoted a lower Grimm age than exercise, which I think is surprising. We would think that exercise would be better than eating healthy, but this is showing you that eating the vegetables actually had a better negative effect on their Grimm age than exercise did. So to kind of help you wrap that up in your head, and then I'll go into some of the specifics, is that carotenoids, the pigments found in many fruits and vegetables, serve as powerful antioxidants that reduce cellular stress and protect DNA from damage. And if you can think back to when we did the Young Blood, Old Souls episode, we talked a lot about non-PT, nicotinamide phosphoribosyl transferase, and essentially as we age, non-PT lowers. And as non-PT lowers, our DNA gets damaged, and that is what leads to aging, and more specifically to Alzheimer's and osteoporosis, and all of these more age-attached diseases. So if we can protect our DNA, which is what these carotenoids are showing to do, we can actually sort of reverse our age just by eating vegetables. Simply by eating vegetables, and more specifically these vegetables, so dark leafy greens like kale, spinach, and romaine, they have beta-carotene and lutein. Orange and yellow vegetables, carrots, sweet potatoes, red bell peppers, they're all packed with alpha-carotene and beta-carotene. And red vegetables like tomatoes, they're the best sources of lycopene. And then animal products such as egg yolks and fish also have some carotenoids in them. And so, basically, all of that study and all of those terms to tell you that eating more vegetables leads to higher carotenoid levels, and higher carotenoid levels leads to a lower epigenetic age, and a lower epigenetic age means that you are younger than you actually are. And more important than just the number, you probably feel younger, which means that you will live longer and live better at a higher quality. Because longevity is kind of a hot thing right now, and I personally don't care about longevity, but as long as I'm going to be alive, I'd rather be able to enjoy it and enjoy the things I love doing. And so rather than longevity as if like more quantity, I think of longevity as better quality, and I think that's what a lot of people want. So the only side effects I found to eating too much vegetables and having too much carotenoid in your blood is actually something I can truly tell you as a person who has it, because again, I eat a lot of vegetables. I eat a lot of carrots, and I always have. Consuming high amounts of carotenoids can cause carotenonemia, a harmless condition, where excess beta-carotene accumulates in your blood and starts to deposit into your skin, turning the palms of your hand and the soles of your feet yellow or orange. So if you have ever seen me in person, I have yellow hands and I have yellow feet, and if it's truly harmless, then I'm just sticking with it, because I love spinach and carrots and stuff. And then those with thyroid issues can also struggle to convert the beta-carotene into usable vitamin A. So that is what it is doing, is it's taking some of the sun exposure you get and some of that excess vitamin A in your diet, and it converts it to carotenoids. And if you have a thyroid issue, your body may just struggle to do that. So if you don't mind some yellow hands and you don't have a thyroid issue, you really don't have an excuse to not eat more vegetables. And you should want to. And now I'm kind of going to break down why carotenoids, how they work to slow your biological age, because they specifically do certain things that slow down DNA damage. And I want to structure that in a way of assigning each of those things. So there's 4 things that they do, and out of these 4 things, each one of them is kind of like a job. So number 1 is that they neutralize free radicals, and this is carotenoids as a cop or a policeman. So free radicals are oxidative damage cells. What they do is unstable molecules in your body, so an unstable heart cell or a skin cell, it is called a free radical because they lose an electron or they come in without an electron, and they start stealing the electrons from the other cells. So these unstable molecules outnumber the antioxidants in your body, and they start stealing electrons from healthy cells, and this causes oxidative stress. Oxidative stress, literally like rusting. So it's almost like these unhealthy cells start spreading to all the healthy cells by stealing from them. Over time, this cumulative damage accelerates aging and drives chronic conditions like heart disease, cancer, and Alzheimer's. Oxidative stress is bad because they are chemically unstable atoms or molecules that trigger a destructive chain reaction inside your body. They are missing an electron and they aggressively steal them from healthy cells. Think of free radicals, this is where the cop part comes in. Think of free radicals as unstable, frantic thieves rushing into a bank. They don't have money, aka they don't have an electron, so they violently start forcing the tellers to rip open deposit boxes and give them the money, essentially turning the tellers into thieves as well. So they take the healthy cells, the tellers, and they make them part of the problem. And they spark a massive chain reaction of turning healthy cells into unhealthy free radicals. Carotenoids come in like a highly trained bomb squad, and they contain the problem. Instead of fighting the thieves or getting damaged themselves, they walk right into the center of the chaos and absorb the dangerous energy. So, remember at the beginning when I said carotenoids have a special double bond structure. If you can go back to your chemistry days, you'll figure out exactly what that means. But essentially, because they are a hydrogen-carbon bond and they don't have an oxygen, they kind of have an extra electron hanging out. So, as these free radicals are running around stealing electrons, here come the carotenoids from your lunch of carrots and some squash and some tomatoes, and it offers up a free electron, stopping the free radical from causing a problem. Carotenoids have a specialized chemical structure that lets them freely hand over an electron to a thief, instantly calming it down. Carotenoids are like a shield. They give away an electron, but don't become dangerous and unstable themselves. Their unique structure allows them to spread the remaining energy safely across its own body, neutralizing the effect without causing further panic. They also absorb the excess energy from the electrons. So it's like throwing a fireproof blanket over a grenade. Carotenoids can also absorb raw destructive energy because they are basically free electrons from hyperreactive molecules and safely bleed that energy off as harmless heat. So, carotenoids are cops who come in and they don't necessarily fight back against these free radical thieves. They just give them enough energy to kind of soothe them and calm them and prevent any further chaos from happening. Number 2 is that carotenoids rebuild your cell membranes like an architect. So, DNA methylation, basically the breaking down of your DNA over time without non-PT, which repairs your DNA. Your DNA starts to kind of break down, and that's what causes aging. Carotenoids protect your cell walls and your lipids because they are highly lipophilic or fat soluble. Way back in the beginning, I said they're fat soluble, which means you should eat your vegetables with some healthy fats, like grilling them in olive oil or with an avocado or some nuts. That fat, which is healthy fat, helps absorb the carotenoids better. So vegetables and fat can be friends if it's a good fat. So since they are highly fat soluble, carotenoids integrate directly into your lipid-rich cell membranes. So again, if you go back to biology, your cell membranes are made of lipids. Carotenoids act as physical and chemical armor that reinforces the cell membrane against aging. If we view the cell membrane as a protective cell wall under siege of free radicals, carotenoids serve 3 specific defensive roles. They are like the structural rebars. Because of the long chain carotenoid structure, they essentially span across the entire lipid bilayer of your cell, and they act as the steel rebar inside concrete. They anchor the fluid fats together, stabilizing the wall and preventing it from becoming brittle. They are like lightning rods. Carotenoids contain a long chain of alternating double bonds. So again, they absorb the energy that these free radicals are creating, and they transform it from destructive energy to neutralized energy that can be used just through harmless heat. And then this is essentially why carrots can fix your eyes, because they take the useless energy of blue light and allow it to not cause damage to your eyes. Again, why carotenoids are great for eyes and skin. They absorb excess energy from the sun, from your computer screen, and they transform it into productive energy. They're also like a firewall. So what carotenoids do is, as an unhealthy cell starts causing problems, they just stop the unhealthiness at that cell. They don't let it go on and destroy other cells. So they're like a firewall. So we got carotenoids as a cop. We got a carotenoid as an architect, adding that structure to your cell wall. And then carotenoid as a doctor, meaning the immune system. Carotenoids act as antioxidants in healthy tissues by neutralizing free radicals, we already talked about that, preventing DNA damage that causes cancer. And however, in cancer cells, which already have very high levels of reactive oxygen, carotenoids can switch to pro-oxidants. So, this boggled me because I'm like, how can a pigment be both? But the pigments in vegetables can be both an antioxidant and a pro-oxidant. And what a pro-oxidant is that it goes into an unhealthy cell and tells that cell to basically die off itself. It basically hits the self-destruct button on an unhealthy cell. So these carotenoids are antioxidants. They help your immune system kill off viruses and problems that come in. They also are pro-oxidant, which means they create a problem for a cancer cell to kill itself off. Think of a security system. When someone is in your yard, it sends you a notification. That's like the antioxidant. Carotenoids fine-tune the immune system by interacting directly with the established immune system to create these warnings. They keep inflammation in check and protect against harmful cells. It activates antioxidants already in your genes and adds more antioxidants that are fat soluble. Then it's also a pro-oxidant. So a security system not only sends you a notification, but if somebody actually broke in and you weren't home, it basically locks down, starts an alarm, creates a problem. So these carotenoids can be both just a simple notification as an antioxidant or a full-blown alarm system when there is a bad cell like cancer. And the fourth job is that it just enhances communication between all your other cells. So throughout all these other jobs, as a cop, it kills off the free radicals, it stops them from stealing from your healthy cells. As an architect, it starts stabilizing what your fat lipid layer is already doing. So it acts as the rebars in concrete of your cell bilayer wall. And it then also absorbs the energy like a lightning rod and basically makes this whole cell membrane just more solid. And it can also repair them if they've started to break down due to damage. And the third thing that carotenoids do is they act as a doctor. They aid your immune system both by adding antioxidants that help your body fight off viruses and as a pro-oxidant that basically kill off a virus or a cancer cell once it's already been absorbed. And then they're a therapist because in those three jobs that I just explained to you, they are talking to so many different cells in your body. And it's so crazy how a little bit of a carotenoid from a carrot can then make your body work better together regardless. Like it is taking electrons, moving electrons throughout your body. It is reducing stress, adding stress when necessary on unhealthy cells. That it's just like a therapist, making your whole body kind of communicate. And if the only downside is that you may end up with some yellow hands at the end, my argument is that we can all do with some more carotenoids and some more vegetables all together. So I wanted to read you this little article that somebody wrote on the reflection of this study that was released on the menopausal women. So what the blood test in the Women's Health Institute measured, one molecular family, 6 carotenoid compounds, lycopene from tomatoes, watermelon, and pink grapefruit, alpha-carotene and beta-carotene from carrots, sweet potatoes, and winter squash, beta-cryptoxanthin from the color family, and lutein and zeaxanthin primarily from spinach, kale, and collards. All 6 are fat soluble, all 6 share a chemical background, and the overall carotenoid score they produced together drove the strongest dietary signal in the aging analysis. But those 6 compounds were only the first assay. vegetables deliver at least 4 other molecular families through completely separate biology. And beyond the carotenoids, that was the heart of this episode, but this article sort of summarized that vegetables do more than just provide carotenoids. Those 6 compounds of carotenoids were the first thing that this study measured. Vegetables deliver at least 4 other molecular families through directly, completely separate biology. Broccoli delivers sulforaphane, a sulfur-containing compound that activates a protein called NRF2 and acts as a master switch for the body's internal defense and detoxification genes. Red cabbage and eggplant deliver anthocyanins, plant pigments in the flavonoid family that act on blood vessel walls. Garlic and onions deliver allicin and organosulfur compounds, another sulfur-based family, that dial down the body's main inflammatory signaling pathways. And the fiber in all of these vegetables feed the gut bacteria that produce butyrate, a small molecule made when bacteria break down fiber, which strengthens the gut lining and helps calibrate immune responses body-wide. None of these families would have shown up on the carotenoid test, and each acts through biology the others don't reach. The blood test caught the most visible signal, the carotenoids, but the plate of vegetables in front of you is running at least 5 molecular programs at once, each through a different chemical family. The vegetables target 5 deficiencies simultaneously. One of those channel targets the brain so specifically that a daily serving of one vegetable type was associated with cognitive aging 11 years slower. Another channel can flatten your post-meal blood sugar by roughly a third without changing what you eat, how much, just the order, meaning you eat the vegetables first. A dinner plate assembled by color so that each serving activates a different aging pathway can maximize how you absorb the vegetables and reap the benefits of these chemical pathways in your body. The habits start with what you eat first, break down what the vegetables feed with this channel, and explain why supplements can't replicate the effect of just a good old-fashioned salad. These habits of eating vegetables first and eating more vegetables than probably anything else break down why vegetables are so beautiful for your body and why supplementing for the things that vegetables give you just don't reap the same benefits. So, this week I hope that you enjoy some vegetables, some watermelon, some tomatoes, some carrots, some squash, some sweet potato. Like, they are such beautiful things for your body and also beautiful things to feed your eyes on a plate. So have some fun this week. Go find a gardener that you can steal some vegetables from. Go find some good produce at the farmer's market or the grocery store and cook up a meal that will both serve your body and your stomach and your taste buds. And if you don't like them, remember that adding some fat is actually beneficial to the absorption of the carotenoids. So anything tastes better with some seasoning and some olive oil or some avocado mixed in. So this week, do that, starve the lies, build your body, fortify your mind, stay hungry for some vegetables, benefit from the carotenoids, and always